Spirit Island. This is your review for 2. Good day, my name is Joe Gerba. Today I'll be going over Spirit Island and how it plays with 2 players. Now Spirit Island is a cooperative game for 2 to 4 players where you'll be each controlling a spirit on the island, whether it be the ocean, the rivers, the earth, and trying to defend it off against these colonists that are trying to cause blight upon the lands. And your goal is to eradicate as many colonists as you can, either through fear to drive them off the island or just destroy all their towns, cities, and settlers. So here's a little bit how to play. So in Spirit Island, each player will control one of these spirits, and you'll slowly be growing your spirit's presence throughout the island through some of these discs. Now these discs show whether you have some presence in an area, or it could be a ritual site, which means you have a little bit more presence in the area and you can do a little bit more powerful things. Now you're going to start off with a pretty small hand of cards, and your presence on the island will be pretty small. And as you progress, you'll get more cards. You'll be able to play those. The turn order kind of goes, you decide whether you want to grow. You grow your spirit. Each of these spirits has kind of different growth. You'll be doing that. You can get some power cards. You'll be gaining energy from the lands, and you'll be playing these cards. Now some of the cards have fast actions or slow actions. All the fast actions will go at the beginning of the turn once both players have decided which cards they're going to choose. And then we'll go into the invader phase where they will ravage some of the lands and cause blight upon the lands. They'll attack the natives, which are your friends in this game. They will build. So if there's a settler in the land, they'll build, and then they'll also explore. Through these various cards down here, they explore the different regions, and it's a big game to try to, get them out of the regions where they're going to build, ravage, and explore. And then you go into your slow actions, where these are a little, your powers that take a little bit more time, which you've already played this turn, but hopefully you've planned ahead. And there's a nice little river down here of which actions the colonist will do. And then you'll go through that in multiple turns. So each turn, you'll be putting more presence on the island. Your hand will be a little bit bigger, but the presence of the invaders is also going to grow. So it's a really fun balance, and the game escalates pretty quickly. And if you can kind of quell that in the mid to late game, you'll be sitting good for a victory. So let's see what I thought about the game. Let's talk a little bit about what you get in the game. You get a couple player boards. You get all these little discs. You get some pretty basic minis. But to be honest, that's enough for this game. This game is chock full of content that you'll be enjoying for a long time. The replayability I'm just going to go into right now is very high, even just for the base game. There is an expansion out right now, and one coming out early next year. But the base game already comes with I think it's 8 spirits that you can choose from, mix and match. They all play differently. They all grow differently. They all have a different set of starting hands. They just do different things. You can escalate the game. You can set it up, and you can actually do scenarios where some scenarios are a little bit tougher. Some scenarios, the colonists will grow faster or slower. There's plenty of stuff in the box. There's a ton of game in this box, and I was not expecting that when I opened this game. The rules did take me a little while to grasp, and I love a good rule book, and this is a great rule book. I think everything is well laid out, but it is a little bit thick. It took me a good hour to fully comprehend the rules. Now they go through the gameplay. They give you examples in this rule book. In the end, they kind of give you some references, fill in the gaps, if you will. And I love that in this rule book. This rule book is just a fantastic aid for this game. The setup in this game will take a little bit of time, just because there's a lot of components to get organized. But once the game gets rolling, it's really nice. But it will take you just a little bit to get organized with both players. There are some decks you got to set up beforehand. The fear deck. The actual colonist or invader deck. and just, your cards, the actual starting board. So the setup is kind of there. You can probably play this on a 3x3 table, even though to really have it sprawled out, you could use a little bit more space, but a 3x3 should be plenty for Spirit Island. Now let's talk about the gameplay. You know me, what I think makes a great two-player game is the choices you make and just the amount of things you can do in the game. It feels like you're leveling up, your spirit. You're getting more power on the island as you're placing these discs. There's two rows you can place from. There's the row which you can get more energy per turn, and there's a row where you can play more cards per turn. So you need to have a good balance of, do I have plenty of energy where I just want to, play cards a little bit faster? Remember, this is slow growth, so, you put a presence on there. It may not, give you an extra card, but it'll get you closer to getting an extra card on some of these, for some of these spirits. Now, they all play differently, which I love. They all have their own innate powers. They all have their own little blurb. These big tiles are double-sided. They give you lore on the back. They all have different setups. It feels really different every time you play. Now, not only that, it just, these powers you gain, you just feel like you're leveling up in this game. You're getting more powerful. However, the invaders are also getting more powerful. At the beginning, they're on about 6 spots or so, for some of the scenarios, and they slowly explore. Then they build a little bit, then they explore a different land, and they start to sprawl. And you aren't quite as powerful as you want to be. And that's what makes a good game is there's no way to just grind it out and become super powerful. You're both neck and neck. As you get powerful, the invaders get powerful. Now, the great equalizer in this game is as you take out these towns and cities, which can really cause blight, and if one of the losing conditions is if you take too much blight on the lands, or if you have no more presence on the island. But blight can really take into effect when you can't keep some of these areas in check. And that's just, it's a really neat mechanic where you don't want to let one place get really super powerful and just let them build up. But the thing is, the great equalizer is as you take these cities and towns, you start to cause fear for the invaders. And these fear cards slowly help you out. It may start small, but after a few cards, then the invaders get a little bit scared, and then the win condition changes. Then it actually goes to, instead of having to wipe out all the invaders, you just have to wipe out the cities and towns. Then you cause more fear, and it's just a great escalation where the invaders will get more powerful than the spirits. But as soon as the spirits start to fight back a little bit, and the natives on the island start to fight back, it really just feels like you were against the ropes and now you're back at it. And I think with 2 players, you really get that great interaction. There's a ton of table talk they can do while you play. You'll be playing cards and saying, hey, I can take care of this area. Can you take care of that area? Because it's going to cause, disease and blight. Or they're going to grow over here. Can we push them around? There's just a ton of elements as far as, you get to level up your spirit. There's area control. There's card management. There's resource management. Just the gameplay in this just blew me away. I thought that this game out of the box, just hearing Spirit Island about kicking invaders off an island, to me, that was not going to do it. That was, that just wasn't very interesting to me. And then I got to playing this game, and I played with my wife, and I played it the first time after I read the rules, and I was like, wow, that was really neat. That was really fun and engaging. And this is, as far as gameplay, this is all I can ask for a 2-player game. So let's talk a little bit about luck versus strategy. And I think this game strikes a perfect balance as well. The cards in your hand. The cards in your discard pile that you'll be able to reclaim with some of the different actions. And you have control of certain things that you're going to play. However, there are some things you don't have control of. such as where the invader is going to explore next. What's gonna come out to change the environment. You know what's coming down the river, and that's really neat about this little invader row is they're going to ravage, build, and explore. Well, next turn, all these will shift over, and now they're going to ravage where they built last time, and they're going to build where they explore in a new exploration card. So what's coming down, but there is an added bit of randomness. There's a couple times these fear cards, were the only thing that were going to save us, and we get to flip it over before the invaders act, and it saves us. Where the colonists may be scared, we get rid of a few settlers that could build, and it's just it had just enough randomness to make it feel exciting when those things happen, but enough strategy that you could sit down and play this for hours with another person, just taking your time, playing over and over. The gameplay for us, we got this down to about an hour. Now, we only played on about the difficulty levels 1 and 2, and they're much harder. There's difficulties, in the book up to level 9, but each, some of these cards have 6 levels of difficulty, and they actually cascade on one another. They build on one another. So if you think you've accomplished, say level 2 of one of the invader cards, well, try level 3, and then you stack levels 1, 2, and 3 all on that board. So it's a little bit escalated than the time before. And I think that's really neat, where the game never quite gets too easy for you. And that's just really neat, whether you want to spend hours thinking about your move, or just minutes playing a casual game. This game is a little bit, I would say, tough to teach for a first timer, but once you get going, it just it flows really well with 2 people. I could see with 3 or 4 could slow down a little bit, but with 2, you don't think this board is very big, but it feels compact, but it also feels large enough where you really have to communicate with the other person. And I just adore this about this game. And this game, like I said at the beginning, it didn't quite capture my attention, but seeing and playing these spirits, it's super thematic. The earth grows really slow, but is very powerful. There's a spirit that captures the oceans, where you're dragging these settlers and drowning them into the ocean. You're doing whatever you can to stop these invaders from getting on your land. Some of these spirits really excel in trying to get over these fear cards, but everyone has a weakness. Some of these spirits can manipulate where these settlers are and push them out of other lands, so they can't build and ravage as well. And all these spirits play differently, and they're so thematic that it just adds a ton to this game. Like I said, there is an expansion to this game. I think it's called The Branch and the Claw. We haven't got that to the table yet, because we've been just so stuck on how much is in the base box. The base box is going to want you to get more, you're going to just crave more of these spirits, because they're all different and they're all just so much fun to play, that we haven't even cracked open the Branch and Claw, expansion, because there's so much game in this base game. Now, I will say that this game isn't for people who really just want a light game to throw around. You really do kind of have to think about your cards. It's not a game you're just going to, casually teach someone in a beer and pretzels kind of night. This would be like a capstone, night where you're gonna hunker down for an hour and a half, and really trying to beat these invaders back. This isn't, it's not going to be like a love letter, or a Waterdeep, where you can just kind of sit back and relax and hunky-dory, just throw stuff out there. But if you want, and it is neat about that game, because you can make this game pretty simple on its lower difficulties, or you can ramp it up. So it's really what you want to get out of the box and what you want to get out of the play session that just makes this game just an outstanding game for me. But just know that it's not going to be as light as some of these other games. So in the end, is this game good for 2? And I would say I don't want to give it perfect marks, but man, it's close. This game is amazing. It has surpassed every expectation that I came here with this game. I was expecting just a normal cooperative game where we would be pushing cubes around, but there's so much to this game, and it's one of these that will never leave my collection. I think it's just one of the most thematic. The gameplay is good. The downtime is pretty low. If you're playing with a like-minded person, it's a fun, interactive game. You can talk about it. I can't say anything better about this game. The only negative I can give is, you are going to have to come to the table with, at least half a brain and really try to hammer this out if you really want to be competitive. But as a cooperative game, you cannot ask for more. So this gets some of my highest remarks as a game for 2. I think 2 is the optimum player count because the board is the perfect size. You have just enough interaction with the player. You don't feel like you have to do it all on your own. You have someone else to help you out, and it's an amazing game for 2. So that's my review on Spirit Island for 2, and until next time.